been through good times, bad times, and some real communication breakdowns.
And there was heavy grown-up R-rated drug use happening.
Yes.
And I would see little tiny cockroaches crawling on the walls.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 celebrities who've been homeless.
Years after his last outside shot, he was homeless, living out of a car in Florida.
For this list, we're focusing on celebs that found themselves without a place to call home, whether it was before they reached fame or after.
Kidder was found Tuesday hiding in the backyard of this Glendale, California house.
We're excluding multimillionaires who were forced out of their luxurious mansions for one reason or another, but were still capable of purchasing a humble pad.
She said, "I think you're gonna die very soon." And I wanted to make sure that I knew that I told you I loved you before I get the phone call that you were dead.
Number 10, Chris Pratt.
You look like you always do. Great. What?
From Everwood to Parks and Recreation to Guardians of the Galaxy, this guy has always been that dude. Someone not afraid of being a star, but who certainly doesn't act like one.
Star-Lord. Finally.
And maybe it's because he's been to hell and back, or more specifically, Hawaii. There, he was not only homeless, but was also living out of a van and smoking pot near the beach.
That van, right there.
Is that the van? Wow.
Would that be you in the van?
That's me, and that's literally the script that got me out of Maui.
Okay, it's not one of the more heartbreaking homeless stories, as Chris Pratt has noted, quote, "It's a pretty awesome place to be homeless."
I lived in a van. I was like, yeah.
Well, we guess when you just have that star charisma, everything will naturally work itself out. Right.
And usually life takes more than it gives, but not today.
Number 9, Steve Harvey.
How many states start with the word new?
2015 may have seen this comedian and Family Feud host gain internet notoriety for his embarrassing Miss Universe fail.
I will take responsibility for this. It was my mistake. It was on the card.
But when you've been through the ringer like Steve Harvey, well, you can get through pretty much anything, no matter how big of a deal the public tries to make it.
I didn't get into comedy till I was 27. I was homeless from 30 to 33. I lived in a 1976 Tempo.
As seen on Sway's Universe, Mr. Harvey has been through some trying times, especially in the late 80s.
I needed to mess up every marriage. I needed to get arrested like I did.
Yeah.
I needed to get shot. I needed all this, dog.
Yet with such an uplifting attitude and positive outlook on life, he's managed to retain a rather remarkable career as one of the most beloved hosts of the century thus far.
I wanted you to win. Yeah, I'm off the hook. Hell, that's it. I wanted you to win. I can leave it at that.
Number 8, Ray Williams.
Ray's got the ball. He's got 49 points. He puts it up. It's good!
Born in Mount Vernon, New York, this 6'3" point guard played college hoops for the University of Minnesota during the 70s, before taking his talents to the Big Apple as a top draft pick of the New York Knicks.
From Mount Vernon High School and the University of Minnesota, number 13, Ray Williams.
And over the course of a decade, Ray Williams actually managed to put up nearly 16 points per game. However, life after basketball proved to be difficult, as numerous failed business ventures led Ray to take temporary residence in Florida within his own car.
This is home. Got a roof over my head, food in the fridge.
He later returned home to Mount Vernon, but soon passed away from cancer just as he was getting his life back on track.
That's the mark of a true champion, is getting back up from being knocked down.
Number 7, Drew Carrey.
Golly, you scared the heck out of me just there.
Don't be scared, baby.
I thought somebody broke.
No.
Some of you know this man as the guy with the glasses from The Price is Right. But if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, then you're probably quite familiar with Drew Carey's background as a stand-up comedian, and certainly his popular and self-titled The Drew Carey Show.
So you want to know how my day was, huh? It was lousy. It was like the rubber glove part of a physical exam.
But like many young comics who seem bound for glory but don't have the bankroll, Drew found himself down and out in Sin City in the early 80s, munching down mac and cheese while selling plasma for $40 a pop as he tried to make his way to Cali.
Yeah, you're the man, Drew. Going for about another 5 seconds.
Number 6, Sly Stone. In the 60s, this funkadelic musician reached superstardom with his band Sly and the Family Stone. and his unique style and charisma paved the way for decades of future R&B legends. But, and this is a big one, Sly enjoyed spending his cash, and not just on the usual pricey toys either, as he's been known to have a strong affinity for cocaine. He's popped up here and there over the years and remains a musical icon. But his personal demons and a dispute with his former manager reportedly keep him in a van and on the streets of LA.
You're gonna go to rehab? Yeah. So you are still using?
Well, no, but I'm gonna be through with it.
Number 5, Danny Bonaducci.
This little kid, what was he like?
I hear he had red hair and freckles. Why? Just like you.
Danny Bonaducci is practically the poster boy for troubled child actor syndrome. But likely the lowest of his many low points came when the Partridge Family ended and his homelessness began.
I don't like the expression turn to drugs. Just the people I was with were taking drugs, so I did the things that people that I was hanging out with did, and the next thing I know, I was addicted.
Fueled in part by drug use, the former Partridge found himself without a roof over his head and living in a car behind Grauman's Chinese Theater. Doubly awkward as the teen was still a recognizable star and spent the days chatting with fans and signing autographs. Showbiz. It's not all glitz and glamour, kids.
When I was done, or I knew they wouldn't see me, then I would sneak back to my car. It was totally embarrassing to be famous and homeless.
Number 4, David Letterman.
Do you want to arm wrestle? No. I've been taking, I've taken part. These aren't mine. I can kick.
Okay. I'm gonna go check on the top 10.
Born in Indianapolis, Indiana, this beloved talk show host narrowly avoided being shipped off to Vietnam. Instead, David Letterman avoided one war and embarked on a journey that would eventually lead to the late-night wars.
You look sharp.
You haven't seen me naked.
We're gonna keep it that way.
Yet before all the big ratings and even bigger bucks, Letterman paid his dues as a weatherman and eventually packed up for Hollywood.
It's none of my business, but what are you worth, a guy like you?
On the way there, Dave found himself living out of his 1973 Chevy pickup truck before catching a break as a joke writer for comic Jimmy Walker.
Thank you and good night.
From there, Letterman was able to land on his feet as a comedian, scriptwriter, actor, and even a game show host in his quest for late-night greatness.
Why are we laughing?
I'm not sure.
Number 3, Sylvester Stallone.
It's the guy that wants the 200 now, yeah?
I'm broke. Honestly, I'm
It's the
broke.
guy that says I should get the 200 or break your thumb, you understand?
You've gotta be in a tough spot when the only light at the end of the tunnel seems to be softcore porn.
What do you say we go inside and
All right.
5 years before Sylvester Stallone began writing the script that would become Rocky, he caught his Z's at NYC's Port Authority bus terminal for a few weeks. Today, the idea of Sly in a porno seems as funny as Stop or My Mom Will Shoot was supposed to be.
Mom, stay out of this, okay?
Joe, wave to the crowd.
Mom, God damn it!
But it was no laughing matter in 1970. Seeing himself at the very end of his rope, his $200 porno windfall quite likely, and ironically, kept him on the straight and narrow.
He makes me so hot when he gets mad.
Number 2, Kurt Cobain.
I'm so happy, 'cause today found my friends are in my head.
To be fair, with his unkempt hair, tattered cardigans, ripped jeans, and faded t-shirts, Kurt Cobain always kinda looked homeless. As the unassuming leader of an eventual musical revolution during the late 80s and early 90s, this grunge icon's younger self claimed that he lived along the Wishkah River under a bridge and that he was taking naps in hospital waiting rooms. While Nirvana bassist Chris Novoselic disputes this as lore, Cobain always maintained it was true, and even documented it in part in the track Something in the Way.
Underneath the bridge, top is sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
the fact that it was so dark, that it was such a low point in my life that I was willing to spend that much time with that many cockroaches, indicates to me just how heavy of a time it was.
I'll find a hotel.
Well, you're bloody well not sleeping here.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, now touch me, babe. Can you see that I am not afraid? These foolish games are tearing me apart.
Number 1, Jim Carrey.
I can almost smell the stench, the loneliness, the poverty, the putrid aroma of lost dreams and lost souls.
Over the decades, we've seen numerous celebrities rise from poverty to superstardom, and sometimes the opposite. But in most of these cases, they experience homelessness during their adult years.
You owe me rent.
Mr. Chickadance, I told you, you're my first priority.
For Jim Carrey, poverty was far from a case of Hollywood gone wrong. At age 12, Carrey and his parents found themselves living in a van when his father lost his job.
I would visualize things coming to me that I wanted or whatever.
This was in like 1987, 85?
Yeah.
And
I had nothing at that time, so it was like, but it just made me feel better.
Carrey's rough start, however, only made him tougher and more able to persevere in comedy. When you start at the bottom, there's only one way to go. Do you agree with our list? Who's your favorite celebrity that once lived without a home?
I mean, I was having the time of my life. At 19 years old, just like living in a car with my friend, and
So, there was another guy in there?
Yeah, I had a roommate. Yeah.
For more mind-blowing top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
What are you thinking about when that buzzer sounds for that line? What do you think about when the 15th round you're coming out?